Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time. This is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And in the program today, we look at strides deployed towards ensuring that Malawi attains its aspiration of creating wealth for all through various interventions that government entities are implementing. And also in the program, we look at performance of the Malawi Stock Exchange and find out how the Cyclone Freddy could affect the local boss. That's inside Business Time. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and my name is William Kumwembe. And I'm entering the program. The financial access for rural markets, smallholders and enterprises last week launched 17 projects aimed at boosting financial inclusion in the country. The 17 projects have a total investment of 16.8 billion kwacha, of which International Fund for Agriculture Development would contribute 11.8 billion kwacha, and the partners would pour in the remaining 5 billion kwacha. Launching the projects, the Reserve Bank of Malawi Governor Wilson Banda says the initiative would help graduate ultra poor people in the country from abject poverty. The question is how? This is what our journalist from Lilongwe, Taonga Sabola, attempts.
Speaking during the launch of the 17 projects, Reserve Bank of Malawi Governor Wilson Banda said financial inclusion has proven to be effective in uplifting people from ultra poverty.
It is a government policy that we should have a very robust financial inclusion drive. That financial inclusion has to be supported. FAMSI has come very strongly to do exactly that. We have actually seen people graduating from very poor backgrounds into levels that are economically better empowered, stronger. They've graduated into self-sustaining, not very high income levels, but definitely into comfortable levels. So financial inclusion is a way to getting people move out of poverty. Certainly the ultra poor are getting empowered to survive on their own without having to rely on government for handouts. So this is a good program, and we appreciate the support that donors are giving us through the FAMSI project. Yes, we are on the right track. I think we have covered quite a lot. I did provide some statistics in my presentation, what has happened in Leza, the number of people that have recently graduated from the ultra poor to definitely to levels or groups that are now surviving on their own. I think we're making strides, we're making progress, and we think that the impact is what we want to achieve as government. However, we want this to spread out throughout the country, spread from Sanje to Chitipa, from Kota to Mchinji, and literally cover all districts and all communities. But I think the approach is the right one, and we are making the impact.
Secretary to Treasury McDonald Mafuta Mwale said FAMSI has proven to be effective as it has increased asset ownership in rural areas as well as boosting food security at household level. IFAD country representative Benedette Makonyoa said our organization is proud to partner FAMSI in the project.
This is a transformational moment for Malawi. IFAD supports the vision, the policies and programs of the government. The 17 projects are looking to empower the rural sector. When you look at the economy of Malawi, it's driven by the agriculture sector. So we are thinking a sector which employs close to 70% of the population. So these 17 partners are going to be empowered to do three things. One, provide support to the poorest to enable them to graduate up to the level where they can be able to actually start running their own agriculture-based businesses. Two, it's going to look at community-based financial organizations. Think about the village level. Those women having a village-level savings association. We need to strengthen them, enable them to have good governance, good structures, savings, and to be able to obtain loans that will help them to finance activities as a group. Thirdly, you have noticed that some of the partners are big banks. We have NBC, we have Standard Bank, we even have TNM in there. These are critical players in the rural financial sector. What are they going to do? They are going to work with the rural poor to develop products, services that will enable the agriculture sector to reach the financing targets. They will ensure that the underserved communities that I've talked about in the rural areas in Chiradzulu, in Blantyre, are able to access rural financial services. This is what these banks are going to be doing. It's very difficult for the rural people. They do not have collateral. So what do we need? We need more innovative products that will enable them to access financing, to enable them to save so that they can finance their businesses. So this is a transformational moment for the government of Malawi. It's a transformational moment for the International Fund for Agriculture Development in partnership with the government. But more importantly, it is a transformational moment for the people of Malawi in the rural areas, the drivers of this economy who work in the agriculture sector.
FAMZE helps to graduate poor Malawians from ultra-poor to a productive pathway through household economic development and access to financial services.
Now, another government entity, the Malawi Agriculture and Industrial Investment Corporation, MIC, has revealed plans to double its funding to various projects and initiatives to 12 billion kwacha this year alone. This is according to MIC Human Resource and Administration Manager Margaret Chirombo, who caught up with our journalist Chimwembe Mangazi.
Okay, our business has been on an upward trajectory. We've been growing. Like you said, we were set up in 2019. We started operations then, and we have been on a growth projective ever since we started up. So we are growing. Even our staffing levels have grown. Even the impact that we have given the Malawi market has also grown. And we have success stories, a lot of them, to show for what we have done since we were set up. In 2020, we had 5 projects, and as we speak in 2022, we have 63 projects that we have funded and disbursed. We are looking at close to 7 billion to date, and we are targeting to grow that number to 12 billion by the end of this year. Challenges that we face, we are still young, we're still growing, so we don't see them as challenges per se. We look at them as a learning curve, and we can't really say we have had faced many challenges, besides that we are growing, and as the business grows, we are also growing with the business, and we're growing with the economy. I can give you the industries that we cut across a whole range of industries. We've got a crocodile farm that we've supported. We've got a fertilizer company that we've supported. We've got a hotel that we've supported. We have a fish feed project that we've supported. We've got a school that we've supported, and various cooperatives for women. We also want to support the youth. So we've got projects that across the whole industry and market in Malawi.
Remember, you're watching Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, and my name is William Kumwembe. Moving on with the program. The persistent power outages continue to affect many sectors of the economy, and the electricity supply side has been largely affected lately with the Cyclone Freddy in the equation. But on the other side, the generation side seemed not to have been largely affected, as the situation was in February 2022 when the country had experienced the tropical storm Anna. Now, the question is, how is the country moving forward towards addressing the prevailing energy woes that has been affecting many sectors of the economy. Our journalist Kumwembe Mangazi reports.
The impact that power outages pose on the manufacturing industry cannot be overemphasized. Just last year, the sector suffered an additional 443 billion kwacha operation costs for using diesel generators after Kapichira power station was shut down. But how long will it take to normalize electricity supply in the country? A question for ESCOM Chief Executive Officer Kumwembe.
As you are aware, ESCOM is the main distributor and transmitter of electricity in Malawi. We are everywhere, so the impact has been huge, particularly with our high voltage lines. Some lines have actually been washed away, and some transformers have actually fallen off. The sad thing is, in areas where such things have happened, people have taken advantage and vandalized the equipment. So we cannot access the area because it's now raining. Some roads are impassable, so it's actually difficult for us to make a complete assessment or to go and rectify the faults. So it's massive. It's across the whole southern region of Malawi. It depends on the nature of the damage. As I said, there are different classes of damages. For example, if the transformer is just fallen, it's easier to bring it back. Or some poles are just leaning towards the ground, it's much easier. But in cases where the equipment has been broken, we need to replace. It depends whether we have the equipment or not. Or in cases where a transformer had actually fallen and is being vandalized, we need to replace the transformer. As of now, we don't have transformers in stock. It will take a bit of time for us to import and then replace the transformers. But in areas where it's just minor damages, we'll wait until the rains subside because we cannot do much when it's raining. We also need to bear in mind that some faults can only be rectified in a live mode. So in some cases where there is extensive damage, we can't energize the line. It takes a bit of time for us to energize the whole line, for us to be able to assess the damage and then make sure that the line is up and running. That may be a few weeks for extensive damage, but for minor damages within days, as long as the weather is permissible enough. But as it is now, it's very, very difficult. People cannot go out because it's dangerous.
However, Electricity Generation Company Chief Executive Officer William Liabunya says not much impact was felt on the electricity generation front.
The Cyclone Freddy has affected us so much. As you may have noticed in the past 2-3 days that we have been announcing of shutting down the machines at Nkula and Tezani, and this was mainly to prevent any further damage that could have happened to the plant at the stations. So we are indeed have lost production in the process, but I'm glad to say that that decision to shut down the machines has helped us that we haven't experienced the damage that could have been experienced in this cyclone. We have machines available now at about 159 megawatts that is available, but that is not dependable because at any time that we notice that the situation is not conducive to continued generation, we can as well reduce that amount of available capacity. So it is there available, but anytime it can go down. But as well as those other machines that are not available, it's not because of any serious damage to the machines, but it's because of the trash. So the moment you clear the trash, you can have the machines available. But if the more water is coming and at the same time is more trash coming, so you'll be forced again to shut down. So it's a swing, sort of. So we cannot have a definite available capacity. As soon as the rains go away, and the waters in the Shire have gone down, we are back to normal. Because as far as we're concerned, there are only two machines, a 20 megawatt machine and a 10 megawatt machine that have at least serious damage that it would take us days to repair. But the rest of the machines, that's about 200 megawatts, we can say it's available, other than the trash and the flooding waters. So we have stopped work at Kapichira from Friday, We expected to resume today because it looked like so that means almost 4 or 5 days have been lost. But we're still optimistic of the end of March. So let's keep it like that, and we'll update the nation accordingly.
If not checked with seriousness, the impact of prolonged power outages on the manufacturing sector could pose grave consequences on the economy.
Now, the 16-counter Malawi Stock Exchange fears that chaos caused by the Cyclone Freddy could affect operations on the local bourse as companies remain on a wait and see in as far as prospects are concerned. This comes as the cyclone has affected almost all sectors of the economy. Our journalist Justin Kweu caught up with Cyclone Kondowe, who is Chief Operating Officer at the Malawi Stock Exchange, who says companies remain on a wait and see. We have more in this report.
A week ago, Cyclone Freddy landed in the country. It has destroyed a lot of infrastructure and businesses have not been spared. The 16-counter Malawi Stock Exchange fears that chaos triggered by Cyclone Freddy could affect its performance in the short to medium term. In an interview, MSE Chief Operations Officer Cyclone Kondowe said the short-term outlook is dim. She said the cyclone could have a negative effect on the economy, which will affect the industry.
It is quite clear that the Cyclone Freddy is something that poses a risk. It has potential of affecting in terms of the outlook of the market. For instance, the example you're giving, and also just looking back at what we experienced with Cyclone Anna, you find that some of the issues that we experienced during that time, especially looking at the issues of blackouts, these are things that we're still grappling with right now. And if you look at the extent or the gravity of the recent cyclone, you find that maybe this is more damaging to most of the infrastructure, as well as even the societies in which we live in. It has been more destructive compared to Cyclone Anna. So we're yet to really get the extent of the damage that has been caused by this cyclone. And obviously, I think it is something, we can confidently say that it is something that has the potential of impacting the economy overall. But at the same time, the sectors in which most of the listed entities do operate in, to have a more clear picture as to how much that impact has been in terms of the bottom line for most of the companies, I think we'll have to wait up until we get to the half-year results, when most of these companies will actually now publish their financials to see how much they've performed, and also to see the commentary on how the cyclone itself actually impacted their operations. It's more likely to take a gradual process. When we look at the market overall, I think it is something that is information-based when it comes to the reaction of the investors. There could be instances where maybe the impact is very evident, where some of the investors might actually make a decision off of that information to change their positions or their investment decisions based off that information. But normally within our rules, we do have guidance as to when that information comes to the market. If it is something that is so material that investors need to know, there are routes and channels through which that information also be shared to the public. But also looking at the more structured information that comes to the public, especially in terms of financial reporting, we do have the half-year results that are published at least within the 3 months after the half-year end. And also we do have the issue of trading statements, where now companies are able to provide profit warnings, either if the profits will be above what was recorded in the previous year by a band of 20%, or even lower. So I think investors would be able to really react based on this information, in addition to perhaps some of the more evident impacts that perhaps they can also base their investment decisions on.
She said performance of the market is likely to be affected as investors are expected to be reacting. Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs Sosten Gwengwe said Treasury will realign the 3.87 trillion kwacha 2023-2024 national budget, which he presented to Parliament just 2 weeks ago to accommodate the recovery budget line. Private sector players and economists fear for the operating environment and economic outlook, which they say have become volatile and murky, respectively. Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry President Lekani Katandula said in a recent interview there will be a significant adverse impact on the private sector due to recent developments. Economics Association of Malawi ECOM Executive Director Frank Chiguta said immediate economic impact is the disruption to economic activity as people try to come to terms with the tragic loss of lives and livelihoods, damaged infrastructure and power supply, sanitary infrastructure and other related utilities. Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences-based economist Pechan Chereni said the extent of the damage is felt at the household, government and business levels.
Now, in other business news, players from the various sectors of the economy continue to pour support towards addressing challenges that might have caused by the deadly Cyclone Freddy. Our computation indicates that players in the banking sector, for example, have committed over about 0.55 billion kwacha to help address the challenges that might have been caused by the cyclone. But the question is, what needs to be done to ensure that there is sustainability in as far as rebuilding the country in the aftermath of the cyclone is concerned? Kumwembe Mangazi has the whole story.
The private sector's response towards Cyclone Freddy has been huge and commendable. Thus far, private sector players have contributed more than 1 billion kwacha towards restoring lives and property in affected areas. Their voice has been underscoring their corporate citizenship in the country. Among many companies that contributed towards the cause, Press Trust gave 120 million kwacha. Wilson Chirwa is its trustee.
Because of Cyclone Freddy, we at Press Trust decided to take a part. As you know, our Press Trust is a trust for the people of Malawi. So we decided we were going to take part, and we set aside 120 million kwacha, which will be used to buy 60 tons of maize flour, 30 tons of likuni pala, as well as over 6 tons of beans to help with the people here.
Petroleum Importers Limited PIL also donated 100 million kwacha. Its managing director, Martin Msimuko, explains.
Yes, what has happened is after we heard the call from His Excellency, the State President, our directors met and decided to have a response. And we, as PIL management, we were tasked to go on a fact-finding mission, and we went with goods worth 20 million to Palombe. And today we have witnessed an additional 80 million, which will be channeled through World Vision so that it can reach to those people who are victims of Cyclone Freddy. We know that our job is really to bring fuel into the country, and we might not be able to do it on our own. That's why we're partnered with World Vision International so that they can go out and reach those people who have been affected in the various areas where they're working within the southern region. We expect that the donation is going to reach out to those people who are needy in the hard-to-reach areas so that they can resume their partly normal livelihood, so that they can get some food, they can get clean water, they can also get maybe sanitary needs from this donation that we have made through World Vision International. Petroleum Importers Limited is a good corporate citizen, and because we stay in Malawi, we should be concerned with what is happening in the nation. And we know that they might not be direct beneficiaries, but you all know that in this age and era, motorbikes are the means of transport, even in the remotest of the villages. And those people use our products. And we know that the people, the children who are in those, they learn, and they are our future employees and future leaders in the country. And that's why we have decided to support them so that they can resume their normal livelihoods.
And from the banking sector, we hear from EcoBank's Executive Director, Weruzani Chingota.
We are giving a relief package of 100 million kwacha on behalf of EcoBank Group to Dodma, our partners, to be directed towards the Cyclone Freddy trauma that has hit the country. Okay, as a corporate citizen, we feel being part of the society is important, and all the stakeholders that have been affected in this cyclone are also part of a community that we live in. So we felt it is important as a bank to do something to assist the Malawi government to help the people that have been affected. The priority areas really have been noted in the media. We only can be able to do what we can as a bank to give what we can towards Dodma, and they are the ones who direct us to the areas that have been really hit. We have all seen what has happened within Blantyre and outside Blantyre, and we are hoping that our partners Dodma will direct us to go to the exact places where the relief is needed mostly.
Such efforts underscores the saying, a happy and healthy customer base is crucial for business.
Well, that story also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time. This is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.